Hello, I'm Nancy Silverton, and I am at one of my 3 restaurants, Pizzeria Mozza. And today I'm going to be making you a salad using the Plenty Mizuna mix. I got to talk to you a little bit about salads because I take them really seriously. If you come to visit me in any of my restaurants and you look at the menu and you look at the salad section, you will see that there are several choices, and hopefully you will realize how much effort I've put into making sure that the vinaigrette complements the type of lettuce. Today I have a really interesting salad, mostly because of the Mizuna mix that I'm using from Plenty, also the dressing, but thirdly, the presentation. And I think that it'll kind of be maybe life-changing for you. It was for me when I figured this out. But before I get ahead of myself, let's do the salad. Remember, I'm here not only to teach you how to make a salad, I'm here also to give you suggestions on how to use all the bread that you've been baking over the last days and weeks and months, some of it fresh, or in the case of the croutons that I'm making, it can be bread that's not so fresh. So start off with a crusty loaf of bread. I've cut this in half. And to make my croutons, I'm just going to pull all of the insides of that bread out into irregularly shaped breadcrumbs. I love this shape so much for a couple reasons. One thing is the way that it bakes in the oven, because the bread is torn and there's tails and fat parts and thinner parts. It all bakes differently, and it's crunchy in the ends, perfect in the middle. But also, I love the fact that you can tell that it's homemade. You never buy breadcrumbs that look like this in a package. Those breadcrumbs are perfectly cut into kind of what I call boring little cubes. These have a lot more personality. So pull out the inside of the bread, save the outside crust to grind up for breadcrumbs or to eat. Toss it with a little olive oil. Season with a little kosher salt. And cook in a 350-degree oven for about 10 to as much as 15 minutes. And when cooked, they'll look like this. Beautifully golden brown, super crunchy, and delicious. Let's go ahead and make the dressing. Now, the dressing that I'm using is going to be a horseradish dressing with grated onion. It's delicious. It's spicy. It goes so well with the Mizuna and the baby bok choy mix that I'm using. So let's start out with mincing up a shallot. You want to cut it in half. Cut off the root end. Peel it. All right, we're gonna slice it vertically into thin slices and then across horizontally, stopping at the root end. And then slice across. Cutting it this way saves you the effort of having to chop it up as much. All the work is being done. Just a quick final mincing. And then into my bowl. Now I'm going to grate about a tablespoon of onion. Into my shallots. I'm using a microplane with a large hole. And what this does is it juices the onion for me. So I'm getting a little bit of texture. There we go. To my onion and shallots, I'm going to add my sherry vinegar. And I'm going to let that sit for just about 5 minutes to soften the shallots, let them macerate in that vinegar, soak in all of that flavor. I'm going to season with a little kosher salt. Alrighty, and now I'm going to whisk in my olive oil. It's about equal parts olive oil and vinegar. Now this dressing is not emulsified, but I'm still going to drizzle that oil in rather slowly. And that's about the right amount of olive oil to add. Now, the horseradish I'm using actually comes from a jar. It's a very, very spicy horseradish that I squeeze out all of the vinegar that it has been preserved with. And there we go. So you can see that this is a rather thick vinaigrette. Thick because of all the horseradish, and chunky because of the shallots and a little bit of the onion. When I first made this vinaigrette and I dipped my lettuce in to see how it tasted, I thought, wow, what a match, delicious. And then I made my salad in a traditional manner, meaning that I put my greens in a large bowl and I drizzled on the perfect amount of vinaigrette and I tossed it. And although it was delicious in flavor, the weight of the ingredients really, really damaged the leaves. I tried some other vinaigrettes. They didn't work for me. A long story short, as often happens to me when I become obsessed with the pairing of a couple ingredients and I really want them to work, I came up with the idea of not dressing the salad, but instead taking that vinaigrette and putting it on the bottom of a plate, a generous amount, because once you start eating, you're going to be digging into that vinaigrette and you're going to need all of it. Now remember, this vinaigrette is enough for 4 salads. I'm just going to plate 1 right now. Okay, on top of the vinaigrette, I'm going to add some of my breadcrumbs. It's kind of like the present is at the bottom of the package. So now what I'm going to grate over my vinaigrette is a perfectly cooked egg. What does a perfectly cooked egg look like? Let me show you. First of all, it's one that has been cooked in boiling water for about 8 minutes, shocked in ice water to chill and stop the cooking. But that egg should be set and bright yellow. Now I'm using another microplane, and this one, it allows me to get ribbons of the egg rather than one that's grated like I did for the onion. And I'm grating that egg all over the bottom of my plate. And now I'm going to mound my Mizuna mix on top. I want to still see my egg, a little crouton. And then I'm going to finish it with egg on top. A little bit of crouton just to show what's down below. Little finishing Maldon sea salt. And a very, very different salad. You might look at it and think, oh, it's not dressed, it must be dry. But believe me, as soon as you plunge your fork into it, all the way to the bottom and pick up those leaves with the dressing, you will agree with me that not only is it perfectly matched, it's perfectly dressed.